welcome to the Wisconsin Weather Experts. I'm meteorologist Lisa Michaels, and beside me is meteorologist Holly Baker. And we have a lot to talk about weather, not only here locally, but nationally.
Yes.
And Holly, you know, I heard you mention earlier some of the warmer temperatures the South is dealing with. How badly do you wish that were to come up in our area right now?
Oh, I'm just wishing like we just get like a big woof of warmth, like just for maybe consistency of like a week, you know, so people can get down to the beaches and just enjoy. I want to go for a run along just the lake there, so I'm looking forward to like spring and summer so bad. Like,
Hey, I can tell you that there's a lot of people here locally that have been taking full advantage of our warmer days, if you want to call it that, being able to get a run, take the dog outside for a walk. We just aren't necessarily dealing with those temps as much just yet. But they're coming.
They're
coming.
Especially today. Today was just noticeably cooler because we've had warmer temperatures in our area, you know, so and then you get that slap, almost like a slap in the face when you walk outside and it's just cold again. It's like,
Well, we have a lot of great topics for your show today. We are going to talk about some warmer temps. We're going to talk about snow, ice rinks, and even the jet stream. You hear us talk about that a lot, what it is and how it's going to change our weather as we head into the upcoming week. So we're going to start off first, though, taking a look at the big picture. The big story is going to be that the winter trends will continue for northern portions of the United States, and the warmer weather is going to stay south. We have a very complex series of low pressure systems stretching from the west coast to the east coast, and what we're tracking south of these fronts, that's where the warmer air is trapped. So stretching from areas like Texas to Florida, the warmer temperatures are going to continue to sit, while we are dealing with a high pressure moving from Canada into northern portions of the U.S., and that is starting to bring in those very chilly temperatures where highs are in the single digits, teens, and 20s. What we're also noticing, though, is this low that is coming off of the coast of California and stretching into the Pacific Northwest. That is going to continue to bring an atmospheric river to those areas, which we are going to talk more about the impacts there locally. But again, the temperature span is significant. We are expected to have a high of 8 in Bismarck, 22 in Milwaukee, the 80s, 81 in Houston and 83 in Miami. And while the South is not, again, unusual to have these kinds of temperatures, it's unusual to have those warm temps during this time of the year. So record-breaking high temperatures very likely across southern portions of the United States, while the frigid air is again maintaining in the north and Pacific Northwest. With that cold air, again, just north of a front, we have winter headlines from advisories, watches, and warnings stretching from Montana all the way to northern and even some central portions of California. The snow is going to continue through more numerous days this week, where 1 to 2 feet of snow can fall in the Cascades. Heavy snowfall could put rates at 1 to 2 inches an hour. And it's not only the snow that's going to impact some areas of California, but we're also talking about flooding due to that atmospheric river coming on shore. That then has prompted even further south more areas under flood watches and warnings, as that atmospheric river will continue through the week, with areas that could have 2 to 6 inches of rain. So it's not only the rain that can cause, again, some flooding on roadways and make it very hazardous to drive. We're also talking about that snow that's going to fall in this region as well. And eventually, when the temperature is warm, that snow is inevitably going to melt and also cause more flooding downstream from the mountains. So we're going to have to watch areas of California very closely as we head through the upcoming week. We can see the differentiation, though, of where it is a little bit warmer versus, again, northern portions of the state where that snow is at right now. Back here, though, across the Midwest, we are almost snow-free. We have high pressure in control, which is keeping things cooler and calm as we've been stepping through the beginning of this week. But we are going to start to see some changes with this high across the Midwest and into the Ohio River Valley. Those changes really look to push in on Wednesday, and that's what we're forecasted for this entire region, as areas, especially in Iowa, heading into Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, again, this area is likely to have more ice accretion. So freezing rain, sleet going to impact those areas, while northern portions of the Midwest more likely to have a mixture of that frozen precipitation into straight snow. This then looks to depart as we head into Thursday, moving towards New England, but then we have a second system coming into play across the exact same area by the start of the weekend. And yet again, notice the trend here with this second system. This same area of the Ohio River Valley is looking to have ice accumulation again, while we are favored across more areas of Minnesota and Wisconsin to have heavier snowfall come in by the weekend. So 2 winter systems looking to be in play as we head through this upcoming week. Really for Wisconsin here locally, though, most of the snow has stayed to the north or south of us, with higher snow depths right now near Rhinelander and Green Bay, while central and southern portions of Wisconsin don't have any snow really, considering for snow depth on the ground. What we're going to have to watch, though, is our next system again coming into play heading into Wednesday. Not looking to have impacts early on, but it's going to be more Wednesday night into Thursday that those impacts will rise, as we are looking to have not only snow, but looking to have some frozen precipitation in terms of sleet and freezing rain likely. The chance of a glaze, looking at maybe 1/100 of an inch, is going to be more on the medium to high end along our I-94 and south corridor, looking to be lower further north. Some of those areas could have a little more snowfall. But what we really need, if we want more snow instead of freezing rain and sleet, it's all about the cold temperatures. And as we extend this outlook into February 11th and 17th, notice the majority of the United States will have areas below average for that colder air to return across the U.S. Areas south, which have record high temps, looking to get a dash of those cooler temps as well. And with that colder air, we're going to have to see if that lines up perfectly for some systems that move in, where we could see some more snow in the forecast. And I will say right now, we are favored to have some of that snow moving in as we progress through further into this month. So again, we haven't seen much snow here locally, but we are going to be continuing to talk about snow because, Holly, we've showed you and mentioned that really Wisconsin hasn't seen much in terms of snowfall this past January at all.
Yes, you're right. We definitely are. We definitely have a snow deficit really just across the state. Now, these are just some areas and even some numbers. For Milwaukee, at least, we're the 6th least snowy in the state right now. Our deficit number is almost about 12 inches. So we need about 12 inches to kind of be exactly where we're supposed to be. That's the same situation for Madison, except for they're the 7th least snowy. So they're a little bit less snowy than we are, at least here in Milwaukee. And they do have the same amount for their deficit, almost 12 inches. Now, as we look at least La Crosse, they're just the least snowy there, and they have at least about almost closer to 11 inches for their deficit. So really everyone is needing at least 11 to 12 inches of snow. Now, will we get that by this weekend? Not necessarily.
And that's exactly what we're watching, because while we have most areas that are 11 inches below, we're taking a look at some more areas. Eau Claire is 8 inches below. Similar story for Wausau. Green Bay is closer to that 11.5 inch mark, and Rhinelander is 4.5 inches below. So yeah, really across the state, we have not had the kind of snow that we typically should have for January. But you want to know one area that has seen some snow? Seattle. And while we are taking a look at Seattle right now, you don't see much in terms of snowfall on the ground, but we have some great viewer footage from our Fox Weather friend Scott Sistick, who sent this in from I got to learn how to pronounce this right. It is Mukilteo. You know what? The names here are a little bit unique in Wisconsin too, so I'm going to have to practice that one. But they saw some beautiful snow Monday, and look at that. The snow was actually sticking to the ground.
Yes.
So beautiful, right?
Yes, it looks so good. Like, I mean, I want that here. I love when it snows here. I do, especially when it's very pretty, like the beginning of it. Now, once it stays for a while, then it's like, okay, I would rather have more snow or this hurry and melt, you know?
I agree. Well, we are going to have some snow in the forecast, and we're going to talk about what's going to change our weather here locally, about the jet stream that's coming up, and again, more on some ice if maybe you have the itch to go ice skating. We're taking a quick look outside, though. We are seeing again some clouds, some sun. We know that snow is going to be on the way. We're going to have a lot more coming up after the break.
All right, welcome back to Wisconsin Weather Experts. And Lisa, we have so much more to talk about. I mean, it's a lot going on, not just in our area, across the country, as you just highlighted, with California and then Seattle seeing snow. We were just talking during the break how when we think about Seattle, we think of rain, and
Rain,
you said
clouds.
Yeah.
And those weather patterns all have to come into play of where the jet stream is and the direction it is going to be flowing. So you may think of the jet stream as something that you hear, but really, what is it? It's 30,000 feet above our heads. You can't see it, but it does impact us every single day in terms of our weather patterns. Meteorologist Tom Walks is here to talk more about it and what that means for us in the upcoming weeks.
Well, let me take you back to last week. Do you remember when we hit that record high last Thursday at 56 degrees in Milwaukee? That broke the old record of 53 set back on that date in 1988. Why were we so warm? Well, for that, we have to go upstairs to about 30,000 feet. These are the jet stream winds. Take a look. They were coming in last Thursday out of the southwest because there was a trough of low pressure down to the southwest, and that ushered in that warmer air. But take a look now. Look at the change this week. Look at how the winds are coming in from the west. This is what we call a zonal jet stream pattern, a zonal flow pattern, meaning due west to east in the wind department. And that changes things up because the jet stream is a river of air in the atmosphere at about airplane cruising altitude. So you can think of the jet stream practically when you're flying as it's pushing you from the west to the east. So if you're flying west to east, you're going to get to your destination faster, right? Where if you're flying with the headwind in the other direction, east to west, it's going to take you a little longer to get there. From a weather standpoint, the jet stream does a couple of things. Number one, it guides storm tracks across the country, but it also separates colder air to the north from warmer air to the south. So let's talk about this a little bit. Take a look at this map, and you'll notice, again, the warmer air to the south, the colder air to the north, and there's that zonal flow in the jet stream pattern, the west to east movement. So what does that mean for us specifically here in the state of Wisconsin? Well, it's putting us right on the edge. You see that? The warmer air just down to our south, much colder air not far up to the north. So when we're in a pattern like we are with the jet stream essentially right over us and blowing very quickly over us from the west to the east, any little perturbation in that jet stream, any little kink in that jet stream is going to mean a temperature fluctuation. And that's why the weather forecast this week has us going from the 20s one day to near 40 another day, because we are just right in the middle there when it comes to the jet stream. And this weather forecast is largely going to continue for the next couple of days as a result. So again, it leads to bigger fluctuations in temperature day to day. And also it guides storm tracks across the country, which means a more active weather pattern overall. That's why we have more chances for some wintry weather here and there, but it doesn't look like major storm systems or massive storm systems. It does mean wintry precipitation at times, depending on the temperatures. That could be a mix or that could be snow, depending exactly where we lie temperature-wise. But it doesn't look like a major system or any major systems coming through, because for that, you would need a big dip in the jet stream for that, not the zonal flow. You would need a big kind of carve-out trough of low pressure to get a larger storm system. So again, it all goes back to this jet stream, and those jet stream winds at 30,000 feet can really make a difference in our weather locally here in Wisconsin.
Oh, that was so awesome. And I want to point out, like, because it's so interesting, you know, he said that's at the same altitude as where the planes fly. So when you get that window seat, you know, you're probably going to be looking now. You can't see it, you know, but it's still going to be interesting to know that you're right up there with the jet stream while flying. I don't know, the jet stream to me is just so cool because it's so many different elements to it. Like it's important in so many ways.
You know, it's kind of like, the easiest way to think about this is if you've ever seen the movie Finding Nemo and Crush, the turtles, they jump in to that stream of really fast moving water. It's essentially the same thing in the movie that we have in the sky, right? So those planes can actually get into that jet stream and it can make them move faster, therefore shortening the actual length of the flight if you are moving with the flow of the jet stream, as Tom mentioned, from west to 60s. So kind of cool. You know, the air overall is a fluid, just like water. We have a lot of similar properties to it. Kind of like if you're in the pool and you're going against the flow of water, you're going to have a lot of resistance.
Yes.
Same thing with a plane. You're going to go against the wind, or if you're driving against the wind, you might need your 2 hands on the steering wheel because it's a little harder to drive. So again, very similar, but it's a great educational tool that Tom just gave us there.
I know. I really like how you brought in Finding Nemo
It's
because
the easiest way to remember it.
Because I just remembered that so vividly and how they all were just in there.
Super fast.
And as a kid, you don't think about that. Like they're just going with the currents. I mean, the ocean has its own currents just like that too. So yeah, that was all so interesting. And we even have more interesting things to come, like lake effect snow.
Yeah.
Rob is about to give us at least a little bleeping on at least some lake effect snow and how that actually affects our area here in Wisconsin.
So, how do lake effect snowflakes or snow flurries even form? Well, we've got some key ingredients and a key setup here, right? You need that cold air coming down across Lake Michigan. For the purposes in the short term here, we're looking at a northeast wind coming down across the open waters of Lake Michigan. Very low ice coverage this year. That picks up some extra moisture, delivers it back as snow. You have to have at least a 13-degree temperature difference from the surface of the water through to about 5,000 feet vertically in the atmosphere, and ideally you need a pretty good stretch, or what we call fetch, of open water to help that wind and that dry air pick up that moisture and deliver it back. Conditions aren't perfect in the next 24 hours or so, but we might get some lake effect flurries out of this, and so we will be watching as that cold air comes down across that lake water, which is 37 degrees, according to the recent readings, a very mild number out on Lake Michigan.
Well, we've been talking about how we've had such a big lack of snow, and at the end of our 11 o'clock show, I know Carl was asking you about ice skating. You haven't done it yet, have you, Holly?
I haven't. I wanted to do it during Christmas time, but I didn't get a chance to get out there and do it. But it's still on my bingo card.
Bucket list, there we go.
Ice skating, skiing. I still want to do all those winter activities before we actually get all of this snow and stuff out of our area. So, like, ice skating for sure.
And thankfully, you know, there are some local rinks, but with the warmer temps, we haven't had a lot of ice here, even on Lake Michigan. But there is one area out in Madison where maybe you can take a drive to, not only view a new city, but also they have a pretty special story about their ice rink. We're here to tell you more.
Few things in Wisconsin say winter like skating on outdoor ice. For Madison's east side, neighbors get to share a slice of pond hockey paradise under the lights. But as skating wraps for the evening, that's when volunteers say the real fun begins.
Well, I circled the Midwestern map to try to find a place like this. This is it, right here.
Meet 80-year-old David Schroeder, a Madison man who knows his way around an ice rink. His title? Ice Maker Number 1, a job Schroeder said started as a quid pro quo.
We got together and they said, yeah, you can skate with us, but you gotta help maintain the ice. They probably didn't say it quite that dramatically, but but I got the picture, and that was 10 years ago.
On any given day, you can find this ice maker tending to the rink at Old Brick Park, making sure conditions are just right for lacing up.
We don't want to have skaters have to cope with rough spots on the ice.
A man whose passion for the sport
It's people that have the same flavor and the same feeling for what pond hockey is
as enduring as the ice beneath his feet.
The sound is good.
Old Brick is one of a handful of outdoor rinks made possible by the Adopt Ice Partnership through Madison Parks, a program run by dedicated volunteers who agree to build the ice, maintain it, and remove snow as needed.
And then all of a sudden you have this magic rink that people can play on.
An undertaking Madison Ice Captain Pat Blair holds with great pride.
I learned to play on the pond, so this is sort of like my passion, really playing outside on the pond, and with the pond hockey group is, to me, it's like it's the real essence of hockey. That's really the true joy space for me.
A labor-intensive art form Blair says wouldn't be possible without her all-star lineup.
I kind of coined David like the gem of our volunteer group. All these years, he's dependable, he's caring, he's a huge addition to our group.
If we were doing this now with this wind like this, we'd be toast.
The rink you see now, Schroeder helped to handcraft from 275 layers of ice.
We've never done that many layers before, I don't think.
A place where the colder the temps, the better the play.
And I'll say, yeah, and they'll go, oh, it's so cold. I'm like, that's when we play. You know? It's like 10 degrees, and they're like, oh, it's so cold. I'm like, yes, that's when we play. Otherwise, you don't have good ice.
A hidden gem of winter on two fronts with a team that excites over excellent ice.
It's like a kid in a candy store.
What a great story. And not only, again, can you visit there, but maybe you'll be able to see that nice gentleman who tends to the ice, actually adding more ice on it, getting the surface cleaned, and it's a lot of work. I think something you're going to have to experience a little more so when you get out on the ice yourself.
I know. I can't even talk because I'm so excited about it. Like, I'm talking like I'm going ice skating tomorrow. I mean, definitely want to go, and I have plans to go. You know what's a funny story, though?
What?
The time I did go ice skating was back at home. It was over the holidays. They built a skating rink, or ice skating rink outdoors. That night, it was the grand opening, and everyone was there enjoying it. By the time we woke up the next morning, the ice was like melted on the ice rink. So it really only lasted one day. So to be here and to know like I'm actually going to get like
your chances are better.
A better chance and even a better experience with it too. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Well, and the good thing here, Holly, is not only do we have outdoor rinks, we have indoor rinks. So even if it is warm and we necessarily don't have the ice on the outside ones, there are inside ones that are cold all year round that you can be able to get your skating on.
Yeah, I may actually have to try the indoor ones for sure.
We'll go multiple times to make sure you get the full feel. It'll be fun. Well, we have a lot more coming up in our Wisconsin weather experts. Again, stay tuned. We have a really cool feature of some amazing students that I had the chance to talk to. That and more coming up after the break. Well, welcome back to your Wisconsin weather experts. Not only as meteorologists are we here to keep you safe and give your information on TV, but we have a chance to get out into the community a lot of times, which makes it very rewarding, don't you think?
Yes.
Well, I actually had the opportunity to go to a school recently and give a nice talk at St. Matthias Parish School in Milwaukee. Now, there was a very wide range of students from 4th grade to 8th grade. I'm standing in the back there, but they were so intrigued to learn everything they can about weather. I got to talk a little bit about what our life is like as a meteorologist, because it's not an 8 to 5 job. For those who don't know, we work all hours, but again, we are here really to educate people, to keep them safe, and I think they had a pretty good time. They also were dressed up in costumes. I thought this was so much fun. They had the theme day as dress as your favorite character from a book. So there was a lot of really cool characters out there. Waldo was out there. I spotted him in the crowd. I don't know.
Yes.
There was 2 Waldos, so it was fun, but we definitely like to be able to get out and give back to the community. And Holly, you've done some of these visits as well, right?
Yes, I have, and I've even talked with Girl Scouts as well. So not just going to the schools, we go to Girl Scouts. We even go to some of the adult community centers as well. And it's always a joy because the questions people ask, you never expect people to really want to know those things.
Yeah.
Especially with kids. Like kids are, their
no
questions.
filter.
Yes, no filter. It's the most interesting questions, but they're good questions because I don't know, as a kid, I'm like, how do they know to even ask me something like this? You know, and I'm like, that makes me feel very good, at least about our future generation with them and their questions. But it's always a joy. It's always fun, and I can kind of be a little bit more loose with them and just have fun, let them scream to the top of their lungs before the presentation. Just a lot of fun stuff, really, And
it's very rewarding, I think, when we help and give back to not only kids, but you mentioned even some of our senior homes we go to, or even if you have questions, come up to us in public. We'll answer them. We'll try to be helping out and give you guys some right answers. Well, we have, again, a lot going on, and you get to tune in tomorrow. We have a whole nother show. One thing that's great is if you have a question and you want to ask us, your Wisconsin weather experts, you can scan that QR code right there on the bottom side of your screen and submit your question. When you do, we'll be able to answer it when we go on for our show. So we really appreciate everyone for tuning in today for your Wisconsin weather experts. Again, we dig into not only things here locally, but nationally, cool weather pictures from viewers if we get those in, really anything weather and beyond. And again, sometimes we'll even dig past the weather subjects that we have, but it's a great way to just expand your knowledge and have a little bit of fun around the lunch hour.
Yes, I mean, we are the experts.
Well, have a great day. Again, tune back in with us tomorrow.